Hello and welcome to Bold Radio. I'm your host, John McLeese. Sometimes in life, you just need some good advice. No one is an expert at everything. That's why we're proud to present the Bold Radio Expert Series, where we welcome a qualified and experienced individual to offer sound advice on an aspect of running a business. Our guest today is a highly qualified legal expert. We're pleased to be joined by Jack Fleming, lawyer and partner at Winnipeg law firm Taylor McCaffrey LLP. Jack will be bringing his advice today to the subject of purchasing or selling a business. Now, it can be less risky and more affordable to purchase an existing business than to start one from scratch. But it's important that you do your homework to ensure that you buy the right business for you and that you pay a fair price for it. Conversely, if you're considering selling a business that you've worked hard to grow, then you should know what your business is worth. Jack, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
What are some of the major considerations people should be thinking about when they're buying or selling a business?
Certainly. From a selling perspective, your number one consideration is going to be, what are the tax implications of the sale? You want to know, I've got a purchase price of X dollars. How much of that am I actually going to take home? Will some of it be taken off for taxes? And so some of the considerations will be recapture, capital gains, and whether the business will qualify for the lifetime capital gains exemption. From a buying perspective, the major considerations are, what are you getting for your purchase price? Do the numbers add up? So you're going to buy a business. You want to make sure that it's actually going to be profitable. You also want to know how are you going to pay for the business? Is it going to be loaned? Are the funds going to be borrowed? And lastly, are there any undesirable liabilities that might be inherited from the existing business? Certainly
lots of things to consider, but I made the decision to buy or sell my business. What would be the next step? What should I do next?
We'd certainly recommend that you contact your accountant and your lawyer. I'm a lawyer, so it sounds a bit self-serving, but I think it's always important to get the opinion and advice of professionals. So an accountant and lawyer should help confirm that the purchase price is a fair price, again, whether you're on the buying or selling side. And as well, an accountant and lawyer will help you structure the deal in a fashion that's going to best suit you from a tax perspective, as well as a limitation of risk perspective. Finally, if you're the buyer, they're also going to help you with your due diligence.
Jack Fleming is here with us. He is from Taylor McCaffrey LLP. Jack, you've seen a lot of common mistakes, I'm sure, that people have encountered buying or selling a business. What are some of the things that you can kind of bring to our attention that you kind of should or shouldn't do?
Sure. One of the common issues that we see is we call it the handshake deal or the cocktail napkin deal. Frankly, two people will get together and decide let's hash out a deal together, and they might have some good business points and put together a contract or arrangement of their own. It may not be sufficiently detailed, or it may have terms that aren't actually favorable to the parties. So that's probably the biggest one we see. Some of the other issues. You certainly want to do your due diligence when you're the buyer. You need to know what precisely you're getting, and the way to do that is through your due diligence. Finally, you need to make sure that you give yourself sufficient time. We see some parties looking to, effectively sign a transaction and close it the next day. Buying and selling a business is a significant undertaking, and certainly it'll take some time to do it properly.
You mentioned due diligence. What does that mean, Jack?
That's a very good question. Generally speaking, when you're buying a car, for example, you'd take the car for a test drive, you'd kick the tires, you'd look under the hood. You might even take it to your garage for an inspection. So when it comes to buying a business, you need to do the same thing. You need to look under the hood. You need to do your due diligence, which could include legal due diligence. That would be things like searches to make sure that the assets of the business are not encumbered or not subject to any liens. You want to make sure that the employees have all been paid. You want to make sure there's no outstanding CRA source deductions or potential taxes owing. Then there's also the business due diligence. That would include things such as looking at the books and records to make sure that the income is as you expect it. You want to make sure as well that the financial statements and tax returns add up and that they look and appear to be promising in accordance with what you're expecting. And finally, you might want to interview employees and, where possible, customers and suppliers of the business.
Final question for you today, Jack. How early should I start thinking about selling my business?
It's generally never too early to start thinking about it. Depending on the nature of the sale, there may be tax implications that have to be addressed well in advance of the closing. For example, if you're selling the shares of a qualified small business corporation, the lifetime capital gains exemption may apply, provided that certain financial tests in respect of the corporation have been met over the past 2 years and immediately before closing. Accordingly, if you're selling, steps may need to be taken well in advance of the sale to help ensure that the capital gains exemption applies.
Purchasing or selling a business can work out well if you talk to the right experts. Jack Fleming, lawyer and partner at the Winnipeg law firm Taylor McCaffrey LLP today. Thanks very much, Jack.
Thank you very much for having me.